You know, it's funny, I didn't really want to do my very first video on Sonic93. I kind of only made it because, well, I had nothing better to do. I didn't even want to do my second video on her. I didn't see the situation as that big of a deal. But when I saw BoxOvFox's video on Sonic93, I realized just how bad she really was, and I had to make a video. After that, I thought I was finally done. Aside from a cameo that's going to appear in someone else's video, I wasn't planning on talking about Sonic93 ever again. But then BoxOvFox got into contact with me and she showed me that the rabbit hole went much deeper than I originally thought. So I had a little chat with her and we decided to work on a collab together. Unfortunately, because of some miscommunication, she wrote a script for herself but didn't have any lines for me. And she couldn't change her lines to my lines because the story was told from her perspective. Now, I have let people upload videos on my channel before, so I could have let her do this one all on her own. Unfortunately, people who are subscribed to me, well, they're subscribed to me. They watch videos for me, not for other people. So usually when people upload a video on my channel, it doesn't do so well. And on top of all of that, there was a few things I wanted to talk about that she didn't put in her script. So the first part of this video is going to be all me, and the second part of the video is all going to be BoxOvFox. Now, I want to give a sincere apology to Alexander's worldly voice. I put him in my last video on Sonic93 and I said he was an example of how Sonic93 White Knights act. Alex, from the bottom of my hard drive, I apologize. I didn't realize just how bad some of Sonic93's White Knights were, and I'm so sorry for using you as an example for them. Because Sprite's video on me was so much worse. Now the video title is Jar's Little Error, and the description says, "Just thought I'd point this out." Oh man, I'm really scared. He probably has some really good dirt on me. Is what I thought until I saw the like to dislike ratio. But you know what, maybe he does have some good dirt on me. Maybe my fans are just butthurt and they're disliking the video out of spite. Now this Sprite guy, he does have a microphone, but for some reason he's just putting text on screen. I really hate it when people do this, especially when they have a microphone, but when life gives you lemons, you make the video anyway.
Okay, so I found something very interesting with Jar's new video on Sonic93. He said a point that kinda goes against something he did in the past. Anyway, listen closely to what I'm about to show you. Why am I making him sound like the Emperor? I'm about to show you the true power of the dark side. Do it.
So, in case you haven't seen my last video on Sonic93, which you really should see before you see this video, he plays the clip where I said Sonic93 interprets things in the least charitable way possible. After he plays that clip, he goes on to say,
"Oh, like how you interpreted Amethyst on how she treated Steven's dad, and how you were so pissed at it. Remember? Roll clip. Do it."
Well, what about me, huh? I had someone who was always there for me until she started hanging out with you!
Don't do this, Amethyst. Seriously.
I bet you'd stay for her.
You wouldn't.
What? Do this?
What? You just took on the form of his dead wife! This is like some supervillain shit. And before someone says this is her character, she's just a bitch, this goes beyond being a bitch. Imagine if one of your friends got in an argument with you, dug up your dead wife's grave, put on her face, and started mocking you with it. And before you say that's an extreme example, no it isn't.
Strangely, it does sound extreme. So extreme, it can be so easy to compare this example to the one in the Sonic93 video. Anyways, I'll end the video here. Tell me what you guys think of this in the comments. I would gladly like to hear what your opinions say on this. Thanks for watching.
Wow guys, he sure got me there. I mean, how can I show my face in public after being destroyed so hard? Okay, so in all seriousness, let's go through everything that's wrong with this. Okay, so the video production is horrible, and he only makes one single point that he could have made with a comment instead of making a terrible video. He had to take something I said over a year ago, and people's opinions change all the time, so it's really not even relevant. What Sonic93 said was about a real person, and what I said was about a fictional character. But you know what? I could forgive all of that if his example wasn't so terrible. The comparison he made about what Sonic93 said about Alduin and what I said about Amethyst is not even close. What I said about Amethyst is a slight exaggeration. Shapeshifting into someone's dead wife to mock them is messed up. But digging up someone's dead wife's grave and using their face to mock them is just as bad as the whole shapeshifting thing, plus defiling someone's dead wife's grave. Now, granted, Amethyst couldn't even do this if she wanted to because, well, Rose doesn't have a grave or a dead body. So yeah, I added one extra bad thing to my example with Amethyst. But what Alduin did when she said Amy Chan is now in a healthy relationship with her boyfriend, she didn't do anything wrong. Sonic93 somehow translated that into her saying people not in relationships are not healthy and are losers.
Amy Chan is in a healthy relationship with her boyfriend Gmod Spartan while Sonic93 is doing something alright.
Who is to say that just because you're in a relationship, it's automatically healthy because they're not quote-unquote obsessing with the fictional character?
You can't compare those two things at all. They're practically night and day. You're trying to compare someone doing something really awful and slightly exaggerating it to someone not doing anything wrong and another person having a problem with it. I decided to look at the comments to see how many people were agreeing with Sprite, and I could only find one, and it was pretty easy to find because Sprite hearted it. The comment is from Azrael the Ghost. Not to mention, taking a jab at English not being Sonic93's first language and poking fun of it. Well, I didn't know that until later. Also, she pokes fun of people for similar things, like when they misspell stuff. But out of all the comments I've read, I think this one might be my favorite. Being single is upsetting because I am single, and I want a relationship with a girl, but I can't do that. I don't know if this has to do with the video in any way, shape, or form, but hey, to all my female viewers, if you're single and you're looking for a man, well, this guy's available. Now, Sprite is Sonic93's top chief white knight. He will defend Sonic93 no matter what. But now I'm gonna hand over the video to BoxOvFox so she can show you so many more things Sprite has done.
Hey ho, it's Sparrow. If you guys thought that Sonic93 was bad before, then you haven't heard anything yet. All this happened within the span of a week. It was in DMs, a group conversation, and it came to a climax in GhostEXE's server. When it began, I wanted nothing more than to solve things, let things cool down, and try to calm any misunderstandings. Contrary to popular belief, I hate conflict, and would rather have things not escalate. And after this whole situation, I don't want her or Supersprite anywhere near me. In January, I was contacted by two other users, those being Draco Charizard and Minnie the Mini. They were the other players in the beginning of this series Sonic93 began. Both of them were kind to me and seemed to be done with the whole drama. I can't blame them. I think most people are tired of it. Minnie tells me he wants to get into a call, but also that he wants to pull Sonic93 into it. We set up to do it the next day, and I was fine with that. If I'm able to talk to Sonic93 and get her side as well, then I'm willing to give her that space. No recordings, no BS. The group DM was set up, it's got 5 people in it. Myself, Minnie, Sonic93, Draco, and someone named Nitro. Nitro will come up later, but as far as I know, he was a friend of Minnie's who wanted to help out. We get into the call, it's all of us except Sonic93, and we're just chatting and having a good time. At some point, we got on the topic of Sonic93, and both Minnie and Draco expressed this fear of being caught. They say again and again how they'd be dead if Sonic93 heard them talking about this. Even though what they were saying was how they were uncomfortable. I know she used the claim, my friend is a Blaze fangirl, so I don't hate her that much. But Draco tells a much different story. Whenever Sonic93 would say something like Blaze should be dead, he would say he didn't like it. Her response was always,
"Oh, can't you take a joke?"
Meanwhile, if he said anything bad about Silver, she would blow a gasket, screaming over how he wasn't a fan and this and that, and God forbid your friend doesn't like your favorite character. At some point, Minnie invited Super Sprite into the group. He overheard us talking about how Sonic93 hates Blaze, and immediately left the call. Within 2 minutes, both Minnie and Draco get a call notification from another group DM. This time, it's Super Sprite and Sonic93. We finished the call in our group. Minnie tried to pull me in and was swiftly removed. After a couple minutes, I start up the original group call again, and they come running. Minnie and Draco were clearly shaken, and as soon as they come in, they tell me Sonic93 screamed at them. They couldn't get a word in, even Sprite was heated, and apparently even more so than her. Why did they scream? Because apparently, they can't talk to strangers about how she dislikes Blaze.
How can you talk about this with a stranger? You can ask me whether or not you could talk to them.
Yes, you heard me right. Minnie and Draco had to ask permission before talking to any ranters, which is extremely controlling, but we'll get into that later. I started typing in the chat, tagging both Sprite and Sonic93 to ask them to join the call. All she kept pressing was that she
Needed to talk to them in private.
Shortly after joining, Draco had to leave since it was very early on his end. He hadn't gone to bed yet, it was 6 a.m. his time, and he ultimately didn't end up sleeping much after this. Once he left, Sprite joined the call. And of course, things started going downhill fast. Sprite couldn't grasp why Sonic93 acting like their mother was a bad thing. Never mind the fact that she was screaming over them discussing her opinion of a character. Minnie and I both started asking Sprite why he told people he was afraid of Sonic93. In a private call with Ghosty and his admins, he said that he was afraid of telling her how he felt, and even told me in private. His response was that he lied to all of us because he was tired of being called a white knight, and that he was never trying to improve or get away from her. So it's not just that he lied to the admins now, he lied to the entirety of the server. There's some more back and forth. Eventually, Minnie and Sprite go check on Sonic93 in the other call. I was hanging out, had some errands to run, and when I come back, Minnie told me that Sprite went after him again while I was away. Apparently because Minnie didn't ask for permission to talk to me, he's not a good friend. Apparently, Sprite thought it would be great to pull the "Aren't we friends" card with a 15-year-old. Later on in the day, Nitro came into the group DM to set some ground rules like screaming, show evidence, essentially just act like adults. I agreed. Sprite decided to be a snot-nosed brat and wrote, "I guess screaming is illegal now," which led to another spat and him being a bit aggressive. A few hours after that, he comes crawling to my DMs to apologize. And when I tell him that I already told the other DMs what he said, he gets right back on the brat train. I did find it quite funny how he tried to claim my entire fanbase as blind 14-year-olds, when in reality, that was how Sonic93 rose to fame. The next day, Sonic93 left the group DM and I asked Sprite a question. While this whole thing was going on, he was asking for proof that Sonic93 and Amy Chan collabed on their scripts, and wanted chat logs to prove it. Despite the fact that that was 6 years ago, and if you see my update video on the Yoshi Wii 1 ranks, then you would know that Sonic93's latest claim is that Amy is the one at fault. Never mind the fact that 1, Sonic93 was the editor and she could have easily cut out those parts. 2, even after the new development, she still has them up on her channel. And 3, Amy Chan and our guest speaker have both admitted fault and removed what they can. Despite all of this, Sprite demands to see chat logs from Amy Chan. I asked him this: why didn't he ask for those chat logs from Sonic93 herself? Instead, she told him that it was years ago and that it didn't matter. He seems to bow down to whatever she says. But if we're saying something, he demands proof of claims from years ago, which should be common sense. But instead, the conversation just devolved into Sprite giving Minnie flack because whenever he and Sonic93 would call, Minnie was in school, like any teenager still in high school. Everything subsides and settles until Draco and Minnie join Ghosty's server. The admins speak with Minnie and he confirms that Sonic93 was using Sprite as a mole, illegally recording calls, cropping screenshots to make them look worse out of context. Keep in mind, he joined the server back in early December and was given multiple chances. He would always pull the "I apologize" card and go right back to his bad behavior, sometimes even fake crying to garner sympathy. I, like many others, took time out of my day to check in on him, to make sure he was okay, because we all thought he was working towards improvement. Once he got back online, I messaged him telling them that he had some explaining to do. He asked if we wanted him to join the call where myself, Ploof, Nitro, and several people from the server were waiting. It was packed, probably 10 other people. We maintained the peace, everyone agreed to be calm and respectable, except for Sprite. The moment he came in, he started insulting people, calling everyone mama bergs because we wanted to defend Minnie from him. His reasoning behind turning on everyone in the server was he was getting harassed. Which makes no sense because whenever he got a bad comment, they always went to help him. A lot happened during this call, but there were a few red flags. For one, when asked why Sprite felt it was right to stop Minnie from going to other people, he said,
"Why does he need his own opinion?"
Whenever Nitro spoke up, Sprite would scream,
"Shut up, you're not my friend anymore,"
like some child who wasn't getting his way. After a while, I spoke up and expressed my disappointment. I tried to warn him that Sonic93 was a ticking time bomb, especially after what she did to Draco. He accused me of manipulating him, and when I tried to explain myself, he screamed,
"Yes, you are!"
at the top of his lungs before it sounded like something broke in his room. He nearly blew out everyone's ears, and after that, he was banned from the server. After some of the behavior I've seen from Sonic93 and Supersprite, both of you are incredibly toxic people. You restrict your friend's ability to form their own opinion because you know you're in the wrong. I'm not sure which one of you is worse at this point, and frankly, I've stopped caring. When I started digging into this drama, I never expected the rabbit hole to go this deep. Sprite, I know you're going to go around trying to say that I manipulated you, which is why I screenshot our entire chat log. You can try to claim innocence all you want, but the evidence is piling up against you. In that call, there were multiple witnesses to you throwing a temper tantrum like a child. Are you going to try and claim that all of those people are lying? Okay, here's some evidence of you telling Minnie you lost your cool the day after the call occurred, as you tried to get back into a server of people who you clearly hurt. At first, I was going to go easy on you because I legitimately thought you wanted to improve. But now, there is no saving you anymore. You're going to keep running yourself in these circles until you have nothing left. All I have left to say is, I'm disappointed.
Okay, so now it's time for my final thoughts on Sonic93. I understand this whole drama seems petty, and that's because it is. Sonic93 made a bad video, like she always does, but for once, someone responded to it. And because someone made a response, this caused Sonic93 to end a friendship with someone who she's been close to for many years now. It caused her to make a fake apology video that she went back on nearly a year later. She threw another friend under the bus, and of course, there's everything else we went over in this video. I have seen many YouTubers who are well respected for a very long time, only to have their reputation almost be completely destroyed by just one terrible video they made. But Sonic93's video was so horribly handled, it not only destroyed how people see her right now, but how people used to see her videos. It's not like Sonic93 used to be a good person, she just went downhill over time. She was always a terrible person. She went after people for petty reasons and made them seem so evil. And because she was slandering people on DeviantArt and not YouTubers, it was a lot more difficult for them to fight back in any way. I also don't even know the reason why she did what she did. Was it to get popular? Well, it was working at first until she, well, suddenly stopped with no explanation. Now, if you're gonna say maybe she stopped because of real life stuff, I don't know if this is true, but from what I've heard, she doesn't have a boyfriend, a job, and she lives with her parents. I don't think real life stuff is an issue for her internet life. But if this stuff is true, then her Sonic93 persona is really all she got. If you're gonna take anything away from this video, just take it as a cautionary tale of what not to do on the internet. have seen the glory of the cleansing of YouTube, debunking SJWs and feminazis too. We criticize reactionists in hopes they get the boot. Just the robot marches on.
Has anything you've done made your life better?